There we
Okay.
go. Okay.
How are you? Okay.
Uh,
How are you?
I'm I'm fine, Lena. How are you?
I'm fine
Uh,
too. Did you hear me? Because it's my new device for Weblin. Did you hear
yeah,
me?
perfectly.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Oh,
perfectly
okay.
clearly.
Thank you.
All right. Give me a moment. I'm going to introduce the class. Hello, everyone else out there in Verbling land. I'm Teacher Oakley, and you're at Verbling, and we are going to continue our little series at this time slot this week here on Verbling by looking at IELTS speaking. Today, our focus is on Part 1 questions. Okay, I'm going to start with more coaching stuff, and then I'm going to proceed to lots of questions and lots of practice. So I'll be giving you feedback, what you could do better, your mistakes, stuff like that. Hey, where is everybody? Anyway, Lena, where's
I
everybody
don't
else?
know. The
Yeah,
class
okay.
was cool.
I thought so, yeah. All right, well, let's get started. In Part 1, all right, you're going to sit down. The interviewer is going to introduce himself. You introduce yourself. You show him your identification, and you're off to the races. Now, first thing that's going to happen, always the one thing you can count on, the one topic you know you're going to be talking about and should definitely practice is the classic question. Number 1, tell me about where you live. Okay. Lena, I'm going to give that one to you after I very quickly say hello to Javier. Hello, Javier.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Heidi as well. Hello,
Hello.
Heidi.
Nice to see you again.
Likewise. Okay, Lena, you're on. Go for it. Tell me about where you live.
Okay. I'm from Ukraine, very nice country in the east of the Europe. It is a post-Soviet country, but now we are going to live in Europe as a Europe country. I live in small town near the Black Sea, very nice place. I live in south of Ukraine. There is warm climate with winter and summer. In winter we have snow. In summer there is very hot. So very nice, beautiful country with good history and good tradition.
Okay.
Is it enough?
Is it enough? Yeah, it's enough. If I could comment, just calm down a little bit.
Calm down.
Calm down. Yeah, you're a little bit excited, and your delivery is kind of like a little jumpy. All right.
Because yesterday you said me about about that we should be that we should forces the teacher.
We should what? Sorry.
Force the teacher with our speech. Yesterday you said about it. Maybe I didn't understand how to force the
Okay.
teacher.
I'm not sure what you mean, force the teacher. But
okay, I understood that you said students should
force the teacher to stop you. Oh, yes.
Yes, force the teacher.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's absolutely true. I should have warned you. I should have said something. We're practicing for the IELTS exam, and to give you a reasonable chance, I'm pretty much going to let you guys go unless it gets too late and I need to give other guys a chance. But no, I don't mean that you talk too long. You talk just the right amount of time. that was not an issue. And you had various different things to say, and that was good. No, that wasn't a problem. I'm talking about you sounded a little breathless, like you're trying to get things out, and then you didn't sound natural. The IELTS test is not natural, okay? And you're basically doing things you don't naturally do. You're answering questions and providing a lot more detail than you naturally would. In fact, a basic rule of thumb, try to talk about 2 aspects of the question to give yourself plenty of stuff to talk about with added detail. No. My critique was that you also need to sound relaxed. Use intonation, and it's okay to be enthusiastic and a little bit excited, and that's good. You probably will have plenty of adrenaline in the actual exam in any case. Okay, but it's not natural, but you should sound natural, if that makes any sense. You should sound like you're having a conversation with your best friend, even though it's the furthest thing in the world from that. I understand that. Okay. It's a very nice place. All right. It's very nice place. You need the article. A very nice place. You missed a couple articles in the south, okay, in the south of Ukraine. All right, like that. Watch your articles. You need to be careful of articles. Okay, you had plenty of things to talk about, but I want to do a little screen share here with you guys. Now that a whole bunch of people are here, by the way, hello, Max.
Hi, Oakley. I just came to share my experience. Yeah.
Terrific. Well, we're glad you're here. Okay. Hello, Mustafa. Hello. Hi there.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, and hello, Araceli, as
Hi.
well. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to show you guys something. I want to share this with you. I haven't really done this really in a class here on Verbling, but I want to show you something before we get into real hardcore practice stuff. I want to share something with you guys. Okay. Oh, kind of a weird screen share here. Hang on. Sorry, I gotta get this adjusted properly. Whoopsie. Thought I had it before class. Okay. Here's a typical answer. I would say Lena's answer is actually better than this one. But here's a typical answer. She basically kind of did this same thing. Now, she answered the question, but she listed many different things about where she lives. Okay. Looking at this answer, I'm going to show you a typical answer that I get from many students. All right. I come from Beijing. I'm a native of this city. Beijing is the capital of China. In Beijing, there are many historical buildings. Beijing duck is very famous. I always eat it with my friends. Now, Lena, your answer was a lot better than this. Okay, but what is, okay, tell me, we're going to go around class, and I want you guys to tell me what is wrong with this answer. Lena, tell me one thing that is wrong with this answer.
There is poor information about the place, and I didn't understand about Beijing duck.
Okay, limited information. All right.
Is it necessary to give this information about Beijing duck?
Hell no. To be blunt, No, not at all. You can say whatever you want. Again, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. You want to talk about famous food or famous buildings or the zoo or a park in your city or how tall the buildings are or the population or the sewage system treatment plant. Doesn't matter. No, that's not really the issue. But you do have a point. There's a list of things about the city, but nothing is fully developed. No idea is really developed. It's just listed. This is not the idea in the IELTS test. Don't just list many things. Actually, you've hit on the biggest problem. All right. Javier, what else is wrong with this example answer?
I don't know what else is wrong. I can see that this like small sentences
Yes.
and are not developed.
Beautiful. You are perfectly correct. These are all simple sentences. There are no compound sentences, complex sentences. There's nothing going. These are very simple sentences. The sentence structure is quite simple. There's no subordinate clauses. There's no prepositional phrases. There are no relative clauses. There's nothing of any complexity here. You are exactly correct, Javier, which is probably the second most important thing. Okay. So, Max, what else is wrong with this answer?
I think Javier stole my mind. I mean, what I wanted to say.
You stole your mind! Okay.
My thoughts, I mean, yeah.
Read your mind. All right. You stole your thoughts. Okay. Anything else? No? Your thoughts are stolen?
Cohesion.
Cohesion. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. There's no cohesion. That is to say, there is nothing that ties the sentences together. Actually, maybe this is the most important thing. I don't know what's the most important. All these things need to be there. Well, I come from Beijing. You should know I'm a native of this city. I should tell you that Beijing is the capital of China. Indeed, one very important aspect that most people note about Beijing is that there are many historical buildings. Notice I am prefacing each sentence, which is basically announcing, here comes another point, here's an example. Beijing duck is an example of a very famous dish from my city. Okay, is an example. I'm using cohesive devices, discourse markers, and connectives to join ideas together. Yes, you're absolutely right. All right. Mustafa, can you find anything else wrong with this?
I don't know, like there are a lot of Beijing here.
She
mentioned a lot. I come from Beijing. I'm native of this city. Beijing is the capital in Beijing, and also the short sentences. I focus on it.
Right. Okay, well, you have a point. Instead of saying the same word over and over again, although a name, sometimes you can't really escape that with a name. But Mustafa has a point. He could have said my city or the capital city instead of saying Beijing every time. He could have used a different phrase or synonym. This is very true, and this is something you want to avoid, using the same word, keyword. Obviously, Beijing is the keyword here. You want to avoid using the same keyword over and over and over and over again. Absolutely. So that's a very good point, Mustafa. Araceli, anything else come to mind?
Well, I think you have said it all. Maybe that the language is not natural. I mean, this person probably is not talking like that with his friends. So I think that it's better to speak more naturally instead of listing so many things that are not related really. Like, Oh, yes, I am from Beijing. I have lived here my whole life, blah, 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 something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Relation of ideas, not different ideas, not relating between them.
Right, and that speaks to a couple things. The cohesiveness that Max mentioned, you're absolutely right, and the shortness of sentences. Nobody uses just short sentences, simple sentences, one after another. Sounds weird. Even reads weird when you read it. That's true.
And
Yeah,
and
Max. Go ahead.
and also it sounds not natural. I mean, it doesn't include some kind of trace. You know, uh, do you
Yeah.
know something like that?
Okay, which is what Arthel is saying. Okay, we also use redundant language. In English speakers, it's natural. It's part of the language. You repeat things. Uh, I suppose that one thing that I really ought to say, because it's very important, is that, okay, I'm introducing that like 3 times. Okay, I could say things like, I'm a native of this city. I was born right here in Shandong Prefect. Okay. I'm a native of the city. I was born right here in Shandong Prefect. That's saying the same thing twice. It's okay. We do that in English speaking. So, yes, and it's much more natural. All right, let me talk to Val. Hello, Val. Sorry I have not said hello.
Hello,
Hello. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Cool. Val, can you see anything else wrong with this IELTS?
Well, you have just said what I was thinking. The repetition of ideas. I came from Beijing, I'm a native of the city, so if you came from the city, obviously you're a native.
No. That
But,
is actually in English, Val. That's a good thing.
okay,
There's nothing wrong with that. In fact,
okay.
you should do that. All right, I'll give you a couple other problems here. Do you notice the verb tense in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sentences? I have all present simple tense. They do nothing with the verb tense. They do not attempt to use any modals to modify in any way. It's very simple, straightforward, present simple all throughout. This is not good. This is showing what you're trying to show in an IELTS test is versatility and variety, a wide range of skills. So doing the same thing over and over again is relatively pointless. You're showing off nothing. It's like saying going out for the basketball team and just standing there making foul shots. Well, great, you can make a foul shot, but can you defend? Can you make a hook shot? Can you pass? No, but I can make a foul shot. What is the point of trying out for the team if that's all you're going to do? It's pointless. Okay, another big one, are no idioms, no phrasal verbs, no idiomatic language, nothing very unusual as far as language at all. It's quite boring. It's a boring answer, but we don't care about boring. Basically, that answer is about a 4 or a 5 in IELTS, what you just saw. Now, looking at the difference here, looking at this answer. Okay, now we have something quite a bit different. Notice, first of all, he's speaking a lot more. Lena, this goes to, I'm sure at the end of this, the interviewer in IELTS would say, okay, thank you, that's enough. Please stop. All right, I'm going to speak this, and from here on out, I'm going to let you guys practice questions, but I'm going to speak this the way I would like to hear it. Well, as you can probably guess, I come from Beijing, and I've lived here all my life, although at the moment I'm studying in another city, Tianjin. I suppose if I had to describe Beijing, the first thing I would say is that it's absolutely enormous. Maybe even one of the biggest cities in Asia, I guess. I mean, it's so big, in fact, that even the locals have problems finding their way around. Another significant characteristic is that it offers examples of both classical and contemporary architecture. Actually, some of China's most renowned landmarks are slap bang in the middle of Beijing. Okay, he's talking about way less things. Okay, Lena, when you answered the question, you told me about 6 or 8 different things. Much better to talk about 2 things and go on about them with extra details and repeat the same information but add a little detail. Much better to do this than talk about 6 or 8 things. This is much, much better. Very complicated sentences. And because you're using these structures well, as you can probably guess, or I suppose if I had to describe, the first thing I would say, maybe even, it's so big, in fact, okay, here's a relative clause, that even the locals have problems. Another significant characteristic, actually, and then actually, there's actually, by using these sort of introductory phrases which take up half of the speaking and really are not direct to the point, actually you're doing a much better job of creating cohesiveness and also creating complexity in your grammatical architecture and in your grammar. The sentences are more complicated because they need to accommodate all of these subordinate clauses and so forth. All right. Basically, this answer, depending on the delivery, the pronunciation and pauses or whatever, this is at minimum a 7.5 in IELTS. If it's delivered properly, it would be a 9 answer. This is what they want, guys. This is it. A lot of beating around the bush and blah, blah, blah. You've got slap bang in the middle of Beijing, a little idiomatic language. Doesn't have to be full of idioms. Okay. Okay. You have basic. I mean, you have a lot of things going on here. You know, if I had to describe, a lot of the verb tense maneuvering is also located in these same phrases. I suppose if I had to describe, okay, to describe, sure, you're using the infinitive version of the verb. I would say you're using a modal. These things also count towards your score. Okay. All right. Don't be afraid of using modals and words like probably, could be, maybe, things like that. Okay. Sorry about that. Got a little stuck there. Okay. The next question that you're most likely probably going to get, usually most people get, is this one. Javier, do you work or do you study?
I try to work and I try to study, both at the same time.
Okay. Can you tell me about a typical day at work?
A typical day at work, I try to reach early. That is the first thing that I try to do. And the second day maybe is clean all the the area, the places that I will work. After everything is cleaned, I guess it's try to attend the people that is coming to the place.
Okay. Javier? Gotta eliminate long pauses, so everything's gotta be flowing, and you gotta keep talking. As far as fluency, the worst thing you can do is have pauses. Second worst is repetition. The third worst is self-correction. So you got to get rid of pauses. You did. Okay, that question. Tell me about a typical day. Do you know what I was really asking you, Javier?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I'm not asking you about work.
Sorry?
I'm not asking you about work. What I'm asking you is, can you show me that you know how to describe something in a time sequence? That's what I'm asking you, really. That's the point.
Yeah.
So you did give me secondly and after that and then, all right, which is the basics needed to answer that question. You gave me the basics. I got the basics there, which is what I was really after. Okay, I try to reach early. Should be I try to reach work early. Okay. Not, you have to reach something. You need some kind of object there. All right.
Okay.
And you attend to customers. All right. You don't just attend customers, you attend to customers.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So this type of question in part one, you're going to get 2, 3, maybe even 4 questions which are basic description. They'll probably have a description of an object like your house, and maybe some way they'll phrase it so you have to describe something in a time sequence. In other words, describing a situation or kind of an activity or something. This is very common. Another very common, I'm going to jump topics, all right? So I'm going to move around in the topics a little bit as I go along. Max, another typical type of question is a like question. Max, do you like shopping?
I can stay this shopping. But I have to bear this my wife and sometimes do this. That's it. Please don't correct me.
Yeah.
I just came to.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you give me one moment, I want to share my experience.
Okay.
It's possible to say I took IELTS twice or I've taken IELTS twice. How to work?
Well, that depends. Max, are you going to take it again?
No, I'm not gonna.
Right.
I hope.
Then I took. Simple past. It's over. If you're going to take it again, I have taken it twice up to now.
I took IELTS twice, yeah, and what I can say about speaking.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have to remember it's exam. It's not just to go and shut the breath. First time I remember about that, about it and get more than I thought. And the second time I forget about it and I just had fun. This I spent this 30 minutes just, I don't know, joking and we talking this each other, and I don't know, it was really interesting and I don't know, and I got less than first time. Yeah.
Okay. which is exactly the point I'm trying to make, and thank you for
Yeah,
reinforcing.
yeah.
Yeah, right. It-
It means if your language is not good, uh, you can get more than you are actually are. I mean, uh,
True.
yeah, just to remember about this is exam. That's it. Period.
Okay. Yeah, and that's just the point. I agree with Max completely. You have to remember you're in an exam, and you have to plan what you're going to do before, and attempt to follow through with your plan, like um, using connectives and discourse markers. Being very careful to do that. Being very careful to try to use different verb tenses, or at the very least, follow the verb tense in the question. Yeah, you're right. He's absolutely right. You have to be mindful of that. Okay, liking. Really, Araceli, you're.
Don't worry.
Yes. That was the last thing I wanted to hear because I'm really nervous and I'm just thinking, okay, forget about you. You just go into the room and speak for 15 minutes and you'll be okay. And so, no, but I understand your point, but it's really difficult to focus and am I using all these verbal tenses? I mean, you are very nervous in the
Yeah,
situation.
you're absolutely right. Which is why I recommend kind of simplifying that idea. Listen carefully for the verb tense. This will only take you a half a second to recognize a verb tense. Just keeping in your mind, I recognize the verb tense and then I follow it. And listen, concentrate on those questions when you hear them. And then just try, Araceli, to make sure that you're using plenty of cohesive details, connectives, and signal words, signal phrases as you go along. If you do that, I swear to God, it helps so much because you have to use a certain intonation, which helps your delivery. You're obviously using wider variety of vocabulary, and you're creating subordinate structures, so your sentences are more complex. You don't have to think about all that. Just think about another thing I should tell you, and another important aspect could be that, and many of these use modals. Many of these kinds of structures use modals, so you're helping yourself in so many ways, and limiting how many different things you're trying to think of at the same time. Just,
Well,
you're absolutely right. You can't think of everything at once. You go crazy.
yes, I was trying yesterday and recording myself, and it depends on the question. For example, in CA, there are questions like what might be these people feeling. So even if you don't care, if you are going to use modals and conditionals, if you are talking about why they may be feeling, I think they would be feeling like that if it wasn't like. So you are going to use that structure even if you don't care. I think so. It depends on the questions, of course. If you get
Yeah.
a very descriptive question, maybe you shouldn't go like in the example. I like this. This is red. The picture is beautiful. Like that, you should try harder, but depends
Well,
on the question.
that's exactly what I'm saying. If the
Yeah,
question
yeah.
if the question has a modal in it, you should use a modal in your answer. Modals are like would, could, should, might. If the question has one, you better use one. If they give you a question in a conditional, if you had the chance, would you like to move to another city, for example? Well, let's try that one. That's a good one. Then you probably should answer with a conditional sentence and the same verb structures. Okay, before I get too far, the like question. Okay, Max gave me an honest answer. Frankly, that's the last thing I would do in IELTS
Yeah,
or
yeah.
BAE. Because in all likelihood, like questions are extremely common in IELTS. in all likelihood, they are going to ask you, what do you dislike about shopping? Afterwards. So if you just spend your whole time talking about what you dislike, then you've got nothing to say. And believe me, the IELTS interviewers for part 1, they have no flexibility for what questions they ask you. In part 3, they can ask you anything they want to. They have complete flexibility. However, the interviewer has no flexibility in part 1. The IELTS headquarters in Cambridge gives them a list of questions. They simply read them. That's it. All they can do is clarify a vocabulary word in the question. There's really nothing they can do. I'm not sure, Araceli, about CAE. I don't know about that. I don't know the rules that govern the interviewers. Not sure.
I think in the first part is exactly like you said. They ask you maybe 2 questions, and they are close questions. They have them written down. So
right, prefixed questions. Yeah, right. So if it says, if it's written down, what do you like about? What kind of music do you like? And then the next question, what kind of music you dislike? If you spend your whole time talking about what you dislike and how much you hate it, you're not going to have a lot to say for the second part. So you should try to answer the question directly. If they ask what you like, you should talk about what you like. Yeah. Also, like and dislike questions are extremely common in IELTS, so you should cultivate some vocabulary, some verbs for like and dislike. I like, I love, I'm keen on, my favorite is, I'm really into, something is my fave, okay. Dislike, I can't stand, I hate. I totally abhor. All right. Cultivate some, and not only just love, hate, but totally hate. Absolutely and totally abhor. Also cultivate the collocations or the adverbs that you can use. If one word is good, believe me, in IELTS or CAE, a collocation of words is like ×3. Is awesome. Really, that's what they want to hear, is speaking in phrases, more or less. Okay, let's try a dislike question. Mustafa, what kind of music? What kind of music do you dislike? Mustafa, are you mic'd up today? Oh, okay. He's gotten, all right, gotten himself tangled up there. All right, Araceli, I guess I'll pass it over to you. What kind of music do you dislike?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. I like many different kinds of music, but if you ask me one I really dislike, for example, I'm not into rap music. I don't like country music either. I don't know the reasons. Maybe because when I was young, I was not raised listening to this kind of music. I think when you're young, the kind of music you're listening is the one that goes with you for your whole life. So, for example, I found country music quite boring, and maybe the stories are okay, but if you don't understand English properly, maybe you don't get the words, and the accent is difficult, so there's no point in listening to that songs if you don't really understand the story. And
Okay.
it's the same thing. Okay.
Okay. Now here's where I'm stopping one of the students. All right. Sounds like she could go on forever. Now I'm stopping her.
Are you bored?
I'm stopping you not because I'm bored, and not because not for no other reason than this. I've heard everything I need to hear from that question. I'm asking her that question because I want to know, does she know other ways to say dislike? Does she know how to explain reasons for disliking something in an appropriate way? not to sound rude, yes, she does. It's done. There's nothing she could really add to what, as the questioner, I'm trying to figure out about her English speaking skills. Plenty of redundant language, plenty of discourse markers and connectors. Easy to follow her speech. She did use intonation and even music. I like the way you say music, Araceli. I really like the way you say that.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I never remember the words I use or if the verb tenses and all.
No, you won't. And in the actual exam, people, when you take one of these speaking exams, you won't remember what the heck you said. No one ever does. It's like instant blackout. I always talk to my students after they take the test, and they can never remember. I don't remember what I said. Okay, anyway. It goes with you for your whole life. Usually, this phrase is a great phrase. Okay, she's using phrases that are like expressions in English. It stays with you for your whole life. It should be.
Okay.
Okay. Slight difference. So there we go. She's using an idiomatic phrase or like expressions, things like that. These are good to use. But she slightly had it wrong. So, all right, it's not a 9 answer, but that was a really good answer. That was, that was 8 level, easily. All right.
I don't think so.
No, it was. Easy to understand. Part of it is how easy is it for the interviewer to understand what you're talking about, or does he have to struggle to keep up with what you're saying? I can understand you without any effort. It's effortless. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. No, that was easily an 8 answer. You'll do well tomorrow. Be confident.
Thank you.
You'll do very well.
I'll tell you about it. Well, I will not know the score, but
no, I know.
I will inform you when I know it.
Okay. All right. That'd be cool. That'd be great. Mustafa, are you now really in the class? Really, really in the class?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, okay, nice.
Hi. Terrific. Okay, that was a great example of how to answer a like or dislike question. We just heard from Araceli. Here's another type of question you will get in part 1. Mustafa? Mustafa, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. This is what's called, I would call it a types question. Excuse me. Excuse me. Mustafa, what types of hobbies are common in your country?
We have different hobbies in my country. One of the most common hobby in my country is soccer game. The people here like to play football a lot, and I think it's the most common game here. I have to complete more.
Oh yeah.
What the hell is this?
Oh yeah. Well, there's no wrong or right answer, but you should always, in IELTS, be thinking about 2 aspects. Okay? A question like this, Mustafa, you might say hobbies. Okay, hobbies in my country. Wait, well, you could break it into 2 parts. Well, men in my country enjoy, there are many, you started out good, you paraphrased. Okay, this is an easy way to paraphrase is use a quantifier. This is an easy paraphrase. Well, of course, there are many different hobbies in my country. Okay, very good. Showing that you know how to paraphrase a question or rephrase a question in your first sentence, this is very important. And you have to show you can do this to get a decent score. Look, one thing you could, just one thing out of many, many, many possibilities, one thing you could do, you could say, well, there are many kinds of hobbies in my country, of course, but in general, men like more physical hobbies, while women like more crafts-oriented hobbies. For example, men, almost every guy I know enjoys soccer. Blah, 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 talk about soccer, use yourself. I myself played soccer in high school until I hurt my foot when I got kicked. Okay. Detail, detail, detail. You can talk about detail, you getting kicked in the foot. And then this gives you the chance to do this. On the other hand, my mother and sisters all like to sew. They enjoy creating clothing and sewing clothing, something which I could not do to save my life. Also, my grandmother was amazingly good at weaving baskets. Okay, everything I'm saying to you right now, I'm making up as I go along, right here in the class, right now. None of this is true whatsoever for me. I'm totally making this stuff up. No one's going to fact check you. You can tell all lies. The idea is to come up, when you hear a question, try to paraphrase. While you're paraphrasing, use that time to start brainstorming and try to break it up into two parts. You could say, you know, 2 hobbies you had as a child. When I was a child, I liked to do this. However, nowadays, I like this hobby. In the north part of the country, they like this. On the south part of the country, they do that. Try to always 2 aspects so that you have a lot to talk about and you can add a lot of detail. You're basically in part 1, you're shooting for 6 to 8 sentences. 2 sentences, 3 sentences, 3 simple sentences, not good. This is not good. Okay? Also, Mustafa, one hobby is soccer game. No, one hobby is soccer. Soccer game is not a hobby. That's one actual thing. Okay. So try for 2 things. Let me give Val a shot here. Hey, Val. Val?
Hey, I'm here. Sorry.
You are. Val, first of all, where are you from?
I'm from Brazil.
Okay, cool. Welcome to the class. Wow, it's really late there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a graphic designer, so I'm freelancing right now. And I'm listening to your class while I do some sort of project.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Okay, I'm going to give you a kinds of question. Val, what kinds of restaurants are popular in your area?
Well, I guess in my area, restaurants that are popular, let's think about. Japanese restaurants are very popular in my country, and it's a very exotic food. And Italian food is very popular too.
Yes. Okay. Val, how about you? Do you like Japanese food? Do you like Italian food?
Well, I like Japanese food a lot. I'm still getting used to it, but one could say that I like it.
Oh, okay, one good. All right. Val, now, detail, detail, detail. I love Japanese food, but I'm totally spastic when it comes to using chopsticks. Every time I try to use chopsticks, one of the chopsticks flies off into the air, and I have to ask the waiter for a new pair of chopsticks. It's really quite embarrassing. Tell the IELTS interviewer little stories. Tell them little stories, lots and lots and lots of little stories. That's really what you need to be doing. If you do that, you don't have to concentrate on all those grammar things and vocabulary things, and you don't have to do anything. But by telling them little stories, you're creating detail, and you're forcing situations where you must use detail. Japanese restaurants, chopsticks, waiters. I'm using words that are related to the topic, thus increasing my vocabulary score. By
Okay,
doing what?
I have
Yeah.
never done some tests like that, but what I find very weird, very awkward, is that it's not a dialogue at all. It's almost a monologue. I have to say everything about it, and the interviewer is not going to interact with me. That's the weirdest part for me.
You're right. Bullseye, Val. You're exactly correct. That's why it's so weird. You're absolutely right. You have to kind of imagine, you have to say it as if they were going to respond when in fact you know they are not, which is very weird. Hey Val, you think the IELTS test is weird? Imagine the TOEFL exam when you're talking to a computer with a headset and a microphone. So there's not even anyone in the room, and you're talking like a conversation, answering questions. It's even weirder. Okay, Val, what did you say? Maybe you don't remember. You said Japanese food is very something food. I'm not sure. Do you remember?
I said tasty.
Oh, tasty.
Yeah,
No.
already
Erin
tell you
Belly?
guys.
She got it. I didn't get it. Okay.
Yeah, my accent is terrible. Sorry.
Tasty food. No, it's not, actually. I couldn't tell you were from Brazil. I have many Brazilian students. I didn't even know you were from Brazil. What part are you from?
I'm from Minas Gerais. It's a state that we almost don't speak the words completely. We say that just a half a word. Like, I don't say ponto de ônibus, I say ponto de ônibus. It's like we got everything shorter.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thanks. Okay. Well, IELTS, everything has to be longer. So there you go. Okay. And try another sort of question here. Lena, taking it back to you.
Okay.
All right. Now, okay, Lena. Lena, where do you usually buy your clothes?
Oh, very nice. Thank you for a very nice question for women. I like shopping very much. There are a lot of places to buy clothes in my country. I like to visit big cities, to visit famous shops maybe, but it seems to me it's more comfortable and suitable to me to buy the clothes by internet. So moreover, I think it will it will be mm, a big sentence. I want to say a big sentence.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it depends from my mood.
Yes. There it is. Beautiful. Go ahead. Continue.
Yes.
It depends on my mood.
So sometimes if I have a bad mood, I like to go to the shops to buy some clothes and to have some relax for me.
Okay. Okay. To have to help me relax.
Yes, shopping helps me to have relax.
Helps not to have relax. Helps me to relax.
Helps me to relax.
I don't know why, but this comes up in like every IELTS speaking test. So a couple phrases. Helps me to relax, or helps me relieve my stress. You want to get rid of stress. Okay. I don't know why, but every IELTS test, some point or other, comes around to the idea of relaxing and being stressed. Whether it's you're talking about work or population or whatever. These concepts, this is something I would definitely take time to study if I were you guys preparing for this exam or CAE, Erthai. Talking about being stressed out. I was really stressed out at work. You know, that's how we say it naturally, stressed out as a phrasal verb. It reduces my stress or relieves my stress. Okay. Getting back to this.
Oakley,
Yeah.
sorry. Why we should use to before relax and we shouldn't we haven't to use to before relief.
Helps me to relieve my stress. Helps me. Well, to is optional with relieve. Helps me relax. Actually, it's optional. You can use to with a. In other words, you're making an infinitive clause there. Depends on what you're going to say next, really. To is not really necessary. Helps me to reduce my stress. Helps me reduce my stress. Actually, any of these, you don't really need to.
After a long day, something like that.
After a long day. It helps me to relax after a long day. Thank you. Very good. So if you have a time clause, it would. No, either way, it's okay with it or without it. Of course, for the purposes of IELTS, better with it because that's slightly more complicated. Frankly. Well, no, it's the same. With it or without it, you're doing it as an infinitive. It's just a bare infinitive without it. To tell you the truth, you're not doing anything different. It's just the to is invisible. So either way, doesn't matter. Okay. Before we go, I really wanted to say this question. How often do you do something? Where? Who do you do it with? When do you do it? Or yes or no questions. Questions that have to be answered with yes or no. A almost foolproof technique is to say, well, it depends. Okay? When you say it depends, you have now forced yourself, you've committed to two answers. Well, do I like shopping? Or how often do I go shopping? Well, it depends. Now you have to come up with two answers. I go shopping when I have money. When I don't have money, I tend to maybe shop online, and if there are really good bargains, I might spend money on my credit card. But I would prefer to go shopping in a beautiful store or in the mall. However, I don't like to go unless I have enough money to actually buy something. It gives you double the amount of things to talk about. Or it forces double. And you have to use clauses that start with when I have money. On the other hand, when. These are subordinate clauses. You're forcing complex sentence structure. Without thinking about it, you're forcing it to happen. Okay. Anyway, tomorrow we'll try part 2 questions. That is the long turn question. Val, if you thought today was crazy, wait till tomorrow. When it truly is a monologue, you have to monologue for 2 minutes. Come on back tomorrow and we'll play around with it. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.